It was late Saturday night when I heard the front door slam. The sound echoed through the quiet house, making my chest tighten. I had been reading in the living room, unaware of how much tension had been building. Emily stumbled in, her movements unsteady, the smell of alcohol faint but noticeable. She glared at me and snapped, "Stop asking questions, it's none of your concern." I froze, unsure how to respond to the harsh words. Her anger was loud, but her tone carried something deeper: frustration, sadness, and maybe regret. I tried to speak calmly, asking what had happened, but she waved me off. "No, leave me alone," she said, her voice trembling with emotion beneath the harshness. I realized then that something significant had happened earlier in the evening. I decided not to argue or escalate the situation. Instead, I went to the kitchen, poured a glass of water for her, and placed it on the counter. Emily glanced at it but ignored it, turning away and muttering under her breath. I took a seat across from her, keeping my distance, letting her energy settle. Minutes passed in silence, filled only with the ticking clock and her uneven breathing. Finally, she sat down heavily in the chair opposite me, her eyes avoiding mine. I spoke softly, asking if she wanted to talk, assuring her she could trust me. She shook her head, insisting it wasn't my concern, her voice firm but quiet at the edges. I realized then that pushing her would not help, that space and patience were necessary. I nodded silently, letting her see that I respected her boundaries even if I didn't fully understand. Over the next hour, she gradually opened up, her words halting but sincere. She admitted feeling overwhelmed with stress from work, friendships, and her own expectations. I listened carefully, letting her speak without judgment, absorbing each emotion she shared. I reminded her gently that honesty strengthens trust, that keeping feelings bottled up only creates distance. She looked at me then, eyes watery, voice small, saying she didn't want to hurt me. I reassured her that I only wanted to understand, not to judge or punish. Slowly, the tension in the room began to lift as she felt safe enough to speak openly. We talked about boundaries, respect, and the importance of communication. Emily apologized for snapping at me, for letting anger mask her feelings. I forgave her, understanding that her actions came from fear, exhaustion, and confusion, not malice. Over the following weeks, we worked on rebuilding trust and openness in our relationship. We established clearer communication patterns, checking in with each other daily. I learned that patience and empathy are often stronger than anger or confrontation. Emily learned to express her frustrations without shutting me out or pushing me away. The incident, though painful, became a turning point for both of us. We discovered that moments of vulnerability, even when messy, can lead to greater understanding. By the end of the month, our conversations felt more honest, our connection deeper. We laughed again at little things, celebrated small victories, and learned to navigate challenges together. I realized that relationships are not built on perfection, but on resilience, honesty, and care. Emily and I both grew from that night, understanding each other's limits and strengths. Our marriage, once strained by silence and unspoken tension, began to thrive through transparency. We discovered that anger and mistakes can be transformed into lessons and opportunities for growth. The memory of that night remained, but it no longer brought fear, only clarity and awareness. I knew that by giving space, listening, and showing patience, we had strengthened our bond. Emily's occasional mistakes no longer threatened the relationship because trust had been reinforced. And though the night began with shouting and hurt, it ended with understanding, forgiveness, and hope.